lead life like Rama, but have the valor and thinking of Krishna.
Hi viewers, I'm your host Saga Venkateshwar from Doodle Diaries, and today we have with us Mr. Ravi Valluri, a renowned author, the CEO of Chhattisgarh Eastern Railway and East Western Railway Division, and he is a prominent author who has multiple books to his name. He's also looking forward for his new launch called Bombay Review and Other Stories. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. We are happy to have you with us.
Thank you, Sagar, and thank you, viewers. So nice to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. Good
Uh,
afternoon, everyone. This Saturday.
thank you, sir. So let's get started. Uh, you have been writing for a while, right? So what is the favorite book of yours of your collection that you have written?
Mm, I think the last two books, A Story of Faith and Miracles, that's an autobiographical account, and uh, this one, Art of War to Art of Living. This is a fictional book, spiritual fiction, and this one is A Story of Faith and Miracles.
uh, so Ravi-san, could you please elaborate what the book A Story of Faith and Miracles is about? What was the thought process in writing this book? What went behind and crafting this piece?
It actually began, as a challenge. This was sometime more than a year back when I came across a writing portal, and it was, to write one's autobiography in 5,000 words. So when I
Autobiography in
began,
5,000 words.
it was some kind of a challenge thrown by a writing portal. But when I began writing, I thought, well, I'm not doing enough justice. So why not convert it into a book? And that's how it became into a book. And it traces my entire story right from childhood till now. And
That's nice. And how about this Art of War to Art of Living? What is it about?
Art of War to Art of Living is the journey of a Chinese tech. Her name is Xiao Ming. Um, how she came from a very humble background and rose to become a very powerful tech in China. But then whatever she created was snatched away. And then she happened to watch a movie on Xuan Zhang, a prominent Buddhist who came to India 1400 years back in search of pristine Buddhist texts. So she followed his footsteps, traveled westwards, and it's her journey here where she travels across various cities of India and various experiences which she has back home in China, then here in India, and how she joins the fold of art of living, and then what she creates. So that's her story. It was a
That's
very interesting thing how it happened. I was then posted as the principal chief operations manager in Prayagraj, North Central Railway, that I received a call from Bangalore Ashram from somebody, and they wanted me to write some kind of script for an OTT. That didn't happen, but this novel came about.
okay. So it essentially didn't go for nothing. You converted that OTT script into a novel per
Book.
se.
Yeah.
Uh, Ravi-san, I want to elaborate on a few points. You mentioned that there are Buddhist teachings in this Art of War to Art of Living book. So, uh, as the lore of Buddha or his teachings of Buddha are not so popular in our country. So, what exactly, if you can, give an essence of what his teachings are in a few words, what essentially he wanted us to learn, if you can just elaborate on that.
I think one of the greatest quote of Buddha is that nothing is permanent. Impermanence is the only permanent thing in life. And that really strikes a chord in me. And whenever things really go wrong, I, veer my mind towards that. That impermanence is something very important. And we're all mere ciphers in this vast cosmos. In fact, when Buddha attained enlightenment, he was, in a period of deep silence. And after great deal of cajoling by the angels, that he spoke. And his first lecture or sermon was at Sarnath. And that's where he spoke about the five noble truths. And of course, there's the eightfold path and various things. Another thing which Buddhism has given to the world is the meditation and breathing technique of Vipassana. So the relevance of Buddha and Buddhism is profound.
If it's okay, could you please elaborate how the breathing technique and the meditation technique of Vipassana works and why it's important for our younger viewers?
There is a constant chatter in the mind. I have not done Vipassana. I'm a practitioner of Art of Living, and I'm also a faculty of Art of Living. But Vipassana technique is, going inside. And it's, through the breathing technique and the meditation process where you're in silence that you calm down the thoughts which keep arising. On an average, we get about 50 to 60,000, almost 70,000 thoughts in a day about
Oh
which we
my
are not aware. And most of them are, antipathetic, negative in nature. And that depletes our energy levels, or what in Sanskrit we call the prana level. So, through these techniques of meditation, it helps a lot to revitalize yourself. And the whole process purges you of lot of toxins which get accumulated, and you become fresh like a petal, like a dew on a petal. That is the essence.
That's
And it
interesting.
declutters your mind. Let me put it very simply, it declutters your mind.
I think that is very important because in today's world we are consuming information at such a pace that I probably think we'll not have the capacity to process it in the way it's supposed to be processed. And sometimes we have to say that, I need a break. I need to do something else. This is not working out for me. So are there are already practices out there that probably we should bring them back and inculcate in our day-to-day life, which is what your certain books have touched upon. In fact, this is what you were telling in the mind, the miracle mind, one of your books, right?
The first book which I had written was Matter of Mind.
Matter of
Uh,
mind, yes.
Basically, a collection of articles I had written for Life Positive e-magazine. And then I happened to show it to my master, my spiritual master, Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar, who said, you keep writing, and very shortly your books will get published. And his prophecy came true. And on the holy day, auspicious day of Navratri, Gurudev had unveiled that book. And it was something very fascinating. Guruji himself, in the presence of huge crowd in Bangalore ashram, he had unveiled the book. That was my first book. So I have attempted, to deal with this aspect of human mind, which fascinates me a lot. How it keeps vacillating between the past and the future, and very seldom it's in the present. That's all Art of Living about. To be in the present moment. That's what Gurudev says, to live in the present. And that's what all spiritual masters talk about, to live in the present. That's when you attain that peace of mind, tranquility. So that is all. And if you are able to achieve that state, you achieve a lot.
That must have been exciting to meet your idol and have him unveil your book. It must it's essentially two best things, two best experiences happening at the same moment for you. And that's a very valid point because there's a lot of awareness on mental health these days and how exactly we need to manage our mind, ensure that we are not overstressing out ourselves. So that's actually an important point for our generation to pick up on it. That reminds me now
I think
that
it's for all generations, whether young or middle aged, old, and it has been throughout mankind. Uh, Achievers are those who are, who have that control over their mind, control over their thought process. That's when you start achieving something substantial.
What are some myths about mind that are, that are not true? Like about my mind, about your mental health, about managing your mind, about managing your expectations. There are a lot of myths out there. So what do you think of any one thing that you know that this is not true and this is not to be followed, and anything that comes to your head at this point?
That's a good, tough question. It's very difficult to fathom the mind. Let us, differentiate between the brain and the mind.
Hmm.
Now, brain is an organ, mind is something consciousness.
Okay.
That is one aspect. Secondly, I look at the mind as, incidentally, that was translated in Telugu also. It's called Manamoolamigam. Show you the copy of it's like the mind can be akin to the sky, and the thoughts can be called as the clouds. So constantly these clouds are moving, and that's how the thoughts keep coming and disappearing. So I'll just show you the book. This is the
Yes. The
matter of the
same
mind.
analogy of the car, the sky and the clouds.
That this thought just came to me, and it was then translated in Telugu. It's called Manamoola.
Manamoolamigam. Okay, nice.
Um, so this is one area of human mind. Let's take the example of two cricketers. Marcus Trescothick, a very talented opening batsman, but whenever he traveled abroad, especially to India, there was a brain freeze or a mind freeze. He just couldn't perform. So much so he had to go back to England. And I think he just gave up cricket. And let's look at an uncluttered mind, say Sehwag. To me, one of the most, absolutely uncluttered mind. And with the rapidity he could score, almost scoring 300 runs in a day. So, I mean, even if he was disturbed by a ball, he was beaten outside the off stump, that didn't affect his batting on the next ball. So that is what is important. This myth should be broken that we shouldn't be burdened by that thought process and keep creating and keep contributing to the society. It takes a lot of practice. So these techniques of yoga, pranayama, this breathing technique of Sudarshan Kriya, which is there in Art of Living, various advanced courses, uh, then Vipassana technique. All this helps a lot to energize your mind, to reinvent your mind and reboot your mind, however you may say. And there's so much, the repository of knowledge which India has there to offer. If you look at great people like Steve Jobs, all of them, they have all come to India and have learned so much. Beatles, you name the person, they've all come here and they have learned so much. And it's the human mind how they've developed. And I don't know, have you seen the latest movie, Oppenheimer,
Oh
that
yeah, I
biopic?
did. I think pretty
So
much that's the biggest picture that's out there that made people come to the theaters.
yes, and when he sees the first test of the atomic blast, he has the visions of, he quotes Bhagavad Gita.
Correct,
So, how his mind, I mean, a scientist, normally scientists are those whose left brain is more active,
correct.
you know, vis-a-vis the right brain. Right brain is the creative side. But people like Einstein, Oppenheimer, they have such talent in them. I mean, it's something remarkable. So this
Absolutely
is
agreed.
what I
In,
would feel mind to be in the present moment.
Agreed. So essentially, if what you're essentially trying to say is it's not like an overnight success that you can control your mind, like lose 15 kgs in 7 days. It's not. It takes discipline. It takes consistency to achieve the balance that you're looking for. And you made a very valid point. India has always been a beacon for intellectuals to come in and look out what they are for. So on that line of thought, Mr. Ravi, um, our mythology is a rich fabric of our culture. So, how do you think the mythology, which changes with every 1 kilometer, every region has its own local folk stories, their culture, their traditions. So, how do you think it's these all are relevant in today's world, to today's generation, to today's time?
Mythology uh, is something so ingrained and intrinsic to our social fabric and our milieu. Now, in Chhattisgarh itself, there are so many tales of Rama. It's not Rama as a person. Like, let's take the two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. These are the two epics of India. Ramayana teaches us how to lead a life of virtuousness, righteousness. And it's not just the story of one man. Rama himself could have conquered Lanka, but how Hanuman comes into his life, how Sita Devi is there, how the brother is there in Lakshman. So it is how we learn to practice those virtues in our life. I would recommend, if my father always told me to read Ramayana and Mahabharata, and he got me the copies of the books written by C. Rajagopalachari, and
Oh
that's
yeah,
where
I remember the yellow small ones.
yeah, yeah. And we used to read Amar Chitrakatha earlier. So they were really, they contributed so much in my reading process.
They have a good collection.
Mahabharata, huh. Then Mahabharata, on the other hand, shows characters in various forms: black, white, gray, rainbow of colors. So
Correct.
that is shows various shades of human personality. So both teach us so much uh, how present day life is. Uh, you there's a saying, I think it's more popular in Andhra. My mother used to always tell me that lead life like Rama, but have the valor and thinking of Krishna. So I think that is what these two epics teach us. You need I wouldn't use the word guile. Guile would be something negative. You need the intelligence of Lord Krishna and lead a virtuous life of Rama. So that teaches us so much in our day to day working.
Essentially, both are
Now,
two sides of a coin.
kind of, yeah. Even recently, when this Chandrayaan mission was accomplished, there's a point which was named Shiv Shakti on
Correct.
the moon, the dark side of the moon. And people started criticizing it so much, like, how can the prime minister say such a thing? But it was something so deeper, so profound. Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is all pervasive, and Shakti is the feminine form, the energy. So he had gone much deeper, but it was not really appreciated by us. And Dr. Anand Ranganathan, who appears on various channels, he said nobody criticizes when we talk about Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. They're all nothing but Greek or Roman gods. Why
Yes.
is it that we talk about Hindu pantheon, that there is a whole brigade of people who start criticizing? I think it is a very valid point. Whatever one's political or social ideology may be. But the fact remains that we shouldn't debunk our mythology. It should lead us more towards spirituality rather than religiosity, which divides. Spirituality is nothing but then it leads to the Sanatan Dharma, which is so important. Again, something which is so much in news these days because it has always existed. Sanatan Dharma is so true of Indian society, Indian culture, Indian values. So, which is so much part of the subcontinent and this part of the world. So, this is what I would say mythology does. No, and similarly, whether it's Jesus or Prophet Muhammad or anything, uh, they all have relied on myths and various aspects of their lives. It's just that India, we have such a varied thing. There is no single text, there is no single God, there is no single set of rules. It's so varied, so multifarious. And that gives you perhaps so many options uh, for anybody.
I like the fact that you hit upon this point. The names have certain value, they have certain deeper meaning if you're looking for it. Um, Even within our day-to-day lives, also we compare. There should be an ideal couple like Ram Sita. He's looking as cute as a little Krishna. So we associate certain imagery with our day-to-day lives, and the names have power. So we should probably look into that direction also. So in that aspect, what's your favorite my favorite mythological story that you can recollect of?
I don't know, I have been greatly influenced by Karna.
Karna,
Uh,
that's interesting,
he represents to me, someone who had everything,
but
yet
still had
he,
nothing.
but like then he is a symbol of great sacrifice. And when I really watch B.R. Chopra's depiction of Mahabharata, the scenes where he gives away his kavach and kundal, then on two consecutive days, first Lord Krishna tells him that you are none but the eldest Pandava, and he's shocked to core. Then his mother Kunti tells him, and both tell him that you join the Pandavas. Yet he does not. He says, then I'll be doing great injustice to my friend Duryodhana. So even though and one of the reasons is he says that, look, if I join your side, uh, Yudhishthir will hand over the kingdom to me. And in return for all the favors which were given to me by Duryodhan, I'll end up giving it to him. So thus, I would prefer to fight uh, on behalf of uh, Duryodhan, on behalf of the Kauravas. That is one aspect. Secondly, it shows the negative aspect of his personality also, his jealousy towards Arjuna and how he fought. So it's this character really inspires me quite a bit among various personalities. But there is none other than Narayana. He is the supreme. There can
He's
be no one supreme that Lord Narayana. Everything flows from him.
Absolutely. He's also an infinite like Lord Shiva, like Anand, infinite. Words used for him. I have to ask a hypothetical question. Uh, with regards to Karna, Krishna and Kunti have revealed his parentage secret to him and him only. No one else knows. Neither the Kauravas nor the Pandavas know who he really is. The whole fight between Kauravas and Pandavas is on one legal aspect that even though technically Duryodhana is the eldest, Yudhishthir is the eldest son of Pandu. So essentially, it's that tricky angle: who is the eldest amongst both? But clearly, if we introduce Karna as the third claimant to the throne, if Duryodhana was known that he's the eldest son, do you think the war could have been avoided?
This war could have been avoided only by one person, and that is Krishna, Lord Krishna. He gave that option to Dhritarashtra. But he knew that the war had to take place to eliminate evil. So, whatever that thought itself emanates from Lord Krishna. I think this is a topic where perhaps we can collaborate and write. It's a very interesting thing, subject.
I would love to because because it's in line with Duryodhana's character. He loves his friend, so he would not
Yes.
mind giving up his throne for him. Yudhishthira also will follow. He follows. He goes by the rules, so he don't mind bowing to the eldest one. So if these both knew that there's another third participant, probably the war could have been avoided. But why was not done? It's a what if scenario.
No, because Lord Krishna wanted evil to be eliminated. He wanted that to be eliminated. That's why the war had taken place. Uh,
So
it
through
could have
these
been avoided
variables.
through these variables.
Interesting, interesting. That's nice to know. So that's what, so we need to know as to, because if you think about it right now, there are lots of pop culture movies on Norse mythology where people know Thor, Loki. There are movies on literally Egyptian mythology. So we don't have such content library that our Hindu mythology can boast of. Like, yes, we have Ramayana, Mahabharata that was done in the yester years, but there is no new age uh, feature content apart from the literary. Right now the book scenario is picking up where everybody's trying to mix Hindu mythology and certain elements of fiction to bring out stories. That culture is going out there, but the TV and the movie scenario has yet to pick up. So maybe in due course of time these stories will be much more popular, and hopefully that culture awareness will go on in
No, maybe see if these epics were, say, written in US, for example, you would have had major blockbusters. And after all, so much has been written on Oppenheimer about the movie, but there are so many references about what exactly about Bhagavad Gita that has again emanated. That discussion has once again arisen. So, what is Purana? Purana is nothing but something new. It's not old. So
correct.
all this has written. It's just that dust is being cleared, and it's only at the feet of the master, which is called Upanishad. That Upanishad is nothing but sitting at the feet of the master. That you learn all these. So unfortunately, in our country, we lost all this. Whatever the reasons may be, colonial rule, or uh, we ourselves didn't show enough interest. That's where Indians have lacked in preserving their cultural heritage, so, which is so important. One more thing I would say is we have not been able to even decipher the Indus Valley script. So
We have
that
not.
is something which will throw so much light on what really transpired earlier.
Correct. Absolutely agreed. I hope so. I'm at least happy that you're doing your bit, your small contribution to ensure that this awareness is being brought out. So thanks to you, Ravi sir. One last question. So you have been commemorated with the Chief of Army Staff Commendation medal. So could you please elaborate why was this? How did this happen? How was your experience in it?
I was on deputation to Mill Rail, that is known as military rail. It's part of Ministry of Defense. We Railway Board has a cell there, and we monitor troops movement and various aspects of mobilization of troops. This was a work which I had done at that time as director Millrail when the Pokhran blasts had taken place, which was a sudden thing, and we were asked to mobilize troops, etc. It was a very big honor. Very few civilians are given this award. It's only defense personnel for their valor on battlefield, that they get that award. So I feel blessed and humbled that I was awarded with
That's
the
impressive, sir.
COA.
That's impressive. And you have been a witness to his history in action. Like at least you have been in that Pokhran test when they were being done. So
I mean, we were
it's
not even aware of it, and then suddenly you find you're in South Block with the top military brass and railway brass and organizing it. And there was another episode when I was the senior divisional operations manager, Bikaner. That's when the Indian Parliament was attacked, and
correct.
we were asked to mobilize troops. That was called Operation Parakram. It was a major exercise lasting over several days, where, except for powerhouse coal rakes because powerhouse have to run to provide electricity. Everything was cancelled, only running of military trains, and which had beefed up our border, the western sector. It was a very major exercise. That was a highly challenging task. We had the military officers, people from Navy, Air Force, and we were collaborating with them minute to minute. It was a massive exercise. So those were, again, we were awarded the Member Traffic Railway Board Award for performance. So these two are something very, uh, which really strike a chord in me, and I've recorded all that in my book, A Story of Faith and Miracles.
That's absolutely nice because usually one doesn't think of logistics as the first thing when we talk about army and mobilization in terms of defense. It's good to see that the backbone is getting the recognition that it deserves. With this, sir, before we close off, do you have any message for our readers who are looking to foray to achieve their dreams and aspirations?
Uh, well, number of times I've been interviewed. I think one should keep reading a lot. That's what the eminent American writer says. Stephen King says that you have to read a lot, only then you can write. Then an advice I would give is that people shouldn't be in a big hurry. Take your time. You should write a good script and get it edited properly. All my works have been edited by my wife. I am very grateful to her. And then something which I have told several aspiring authors that you maintain, three diaries. And that's one of the short stories in my book, in my collection of short stories called A Tale of Parallels. Uh, One diary where you note down thoughts, whatever thoughts come to your mind, plot or whatever, and one diary where you learn, say 20 new words a day. It need not be 20, I'm just giving a suggestion. And a third is do write about 700 odd words. I mean, nowadays you have a computer or on your mobile. Uh, so who knows that within, say, a few months, your book would be ready.
That's nice, sir. So essentially, maintain the consistency and take baby steps towards your larger goal.
That's
Thank you so much for doing this, Ravi San. And we hope that your latest book, Bombay Review and other short stories, would be a success and hoping to get a copy on that. Thank you so much for coming over to Doodle Diaries. This is Sagar signing off. Thank you so much.